I saw this take and I find it very interesting. Chris Murphy, Mr. We couldn't do a coup in Venezuela because Trump fucked it up, said that was a cataclysm. Electoral map wipeout. Senate depractical ceiling is now 52 seats. Ours is 62. Time to rebuild the left. We are out of touch with the crisis of meaning / purpose fueling MAGA. We refuse to pick big fights. Our tent is too small. Some early thoughts. Oh my God, what a stupid way to thread this. God damn, this motherfucker can't even write a thread right. Okay. All right. What is... Ken said, wow, the Democratic senator says a quiet part out loud and admits why the party is terrified of populism. Yeah. We don't listen enough. We tell people what's good for them. And when progressives like Bernie aggressively go after the elites that hold people down, why? They are shunned as dangerous populists. Why? Because true economic populism is bad for our high income base. There you go. He admitted it. I am beginning to respect Chris Murphy again for being outwardly honest for some reason. He is always so honest. I don't know why. Like when he said, we wanted to do a coup and Donald Trump fucked it up. Chris Murphy, Mr. We tried to do a soft coup in Venezuela and Donald Trump wouldn't let us do it. Remember when he fucking openly tweeted that out? And I was like, why would you say that out loud? What is wrong with you? Strange guy. Yeah, you get back there. Please. Asman Clip Channel cutting Hassan conspiracy content. What is this?
So, yeah, if it doesn't get shut down, I will make sure that everybody hears
this
about
has nothing to do with me. This has something to do with...
After slavery.
This has something to do with... what do you call it? Wait, it does have something to do with me.
Recently suspended after this.
Wait, this has nothing to do with me. What do you mean Hassan conspiracy content? He's just going after Shonda Black, going after Michael from Pennsylvania, and demanding that they get banned or something. I don't know. They should be banned even further than they have been. Anyway, let's read the freaking yeah, this is the tweet. Then it got real embarrassing. In April 2019, we tried to organize a kind of coup, but it became a debacle. Everyone who told us they'd rally to Guaido got cold feet, and the plan failed publicly and spectacularly, making America look foolish and weak. Why would you say that out loud, man? Like, this guy is too honest, brother. I don't know. For better or for worse, my man is just like, we tried to do a coup. That's crazy.
There's going to be courses in the camps, in the re-education camp. Roseanne will be teaching a course. It will be exciting for many of you. Many of you, I understand, are upset, and I understand that. But imagine waking up in a camp and being taught a course by Roseanne or RFK or the Nelk Boys or Bryce Hall. You're going to be taught. You're going to learn. You're going to learn whether you like it or not. You will learn. You're going to learn. The milk that we have is poison. There's poison milk. And what we're going to do about the milk, we're going to have raw milk for the babies. I don't understand people resisting this. I do think... Obviously, I'm kidding, kind of.
He's not kidding. That is what's going to happen. RFK is going to put you in a fucking detainment facility and engage in re-education until you agree that, all of the food that we're eating has like something that he just made up. What did I call it? Like microthalophaciolites or whatever. He's just going to come up with like new shit over and over again. He's going to be like, the eggs that you get from the local grocery store has microphallocytes. everyone knows that the only egg you can have is going to be, you need to have crow eggs, like the crows that I am friends with.
Politics now, and the president.
Anyway, Biden is going to meet with Adolf Hitler.
Elect Trump at his next steps as he prepares for a second term in the White House. He's set to meet this week with President Biden. ABC's Mary Alice Parks is in Washington with more. Mary Alice, good morning to you.
Yeah, Janae, good morning. We're told that President-elect Trump has not begun conducting formal interviews yet. He did overnight make that rather unusual announcement about two people he said would definitely not be serving in his coming administration. Nikki Haley, who was his ambassador to the United Nations. Of course, she ran against him in the primary, but she did endorse him and offered to campaign on his behalf. And Mike Pompeo, Trump's former Secretary of State. Now, both of these Republicans were supporters of Ukraine and at times critical of Trump. Now, Pompeo spoke out about the classified documents that were found there at Mar-a-Lago. As for who could be in, a lot of questions around Tulsi Gabbard, the former Democrat who then became one of Trump's steadfast defenders, and Stephen Miller, one of Trump's senior advisors throughout the campaign and during his time there at the White House. Now, Miller, we know, has outlined specific ideas for how he would carry out a mass deportation plan. Looking ahead to next week, yes, President-elect Trump is now scheduled to meet with President Biden in the Oval Office there at the White House on Wednesday. Biden conceding the election results and promising to help Trump with a smooth transition, though, of course, Trump did not do the same 4 years ago. Whit.
All right, Mary Alice Parks, thank you so much. Let's bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who'll be hosting This Week later on this morning. John, great to see you as always. Obviously, a big week ahead for the incoming president after that historic election win. Already named a chief of staff. But what more are you learning about a potential Trump administration?
Look, first of all, Susie Wiles is one of those rare figures in Trump world that is pretty much respected by all sides. There's a lot of there's hope for some order with Susie Wiles, both taking the role as chief of staff, but also taking a key role in this transition. As for who is going to come in, there's a lot of push and pull from the various factions.
Have you seen the new Onion Wiz? They watching your stream, I think. Yeah, I'm tapped in with Onion Boys. I already gave him props directly. They have a great team, man. They're great.
Within Trump's kind of the MAGA universe, you've got those that want to go in a direction like Tucker Carlson, kind of a far right full remaking of the federal government, and those that want to make sure that Trump has a successful and maybe not as radical approach. There's big questions about whether or not this is going to be the unity that Trump has talked about, or that retribution campaign he talked about during the campaign.
What about Elon Musk, the world's richest man, poured more than $100 million of his own money into the super PAC, into the campaign. What could we see his role turning out to be in an administration?
Hey, look, I don't know if Elon Musk is literally going to be on the federal payroll. I mean, he doesn't need the money, first of all. But he is going to play a major role in this administration, whether it's on the outside or actually on the inside. The talk during the campaign was he would run this Department of Government Efficiency and find a way to. He talked about he can get $2 trillion out of the federal budget. By the way, I don't know how you do that without touching things like Social Security.
And he said it could be Medicare. Painful before some of the benefits.
Painful before things come out. Well, but it was so notable to me this week that he was actually on the phone call with President Zelensky. So that's not government efficiency. That's also taking a really critical foreign policy, national security direction. By the way, I heard that call from the Ukrainian side actually went very well. There's a lot of concerns about how much support Donald Trump will have for Ukraine, but people close to Zelensky's office have told me that call, from their perspective, went very well.
So let's talk about the Democrats now. Obviously, a devastating result for them. What do we expect to see in terms?
I can't begin to explain to you how unimaginably stupid it is to actually try and wipe out all income tax and then tune up or I guess tune up the economy in a way where the taxable revenue comes from tariffs, which is like a broad sales tax, like almost like a flat tax. It is going to be some nutty. This is a new era of insane anarcho-capitalism that is upon us. Okay? Yeah, we're going Argentina mode. I don't even know what will happen in that process. And it's also crazy because it's not like the main tax dodging comes from income. Like, most of the wealthy people already shelter themselves through many different loopholes where the income taxes aren't actually harming the top earners anyway. The top earners already, like, their effective tax rate is so minuscule in comparison to you, the average American, right? So instead of going in the opposite direction and trying to take back more of the taxable revenue from the highest earners, not by way of income taxes, because once again, there is a professional class, the upper middle class, even people like myself, right? Who, I guess I'm in a unique predicament because, like, I am raw income, whereas, like, someone in my position would most likely immediately move to a place like Florida where there's no income tax to begin with, or Texas, and then also utilize, like, the existing tax shelters for someone like myself. But, like, doctors, lawyers, right? People like that, athletes, people like that, celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, shit like that. Those are the highest earners in this country that get raw income, okay? Instead of the people that work in finance, for example, that also have, like, pretty high income, but beyond their high income, they also will be paid in stocks, right? And the people that park their net worth in the stock market, like, you can't touch them. They already have, like, a lower tax burden to begin with, in terms of, like, the percentage of their effective tax rate at the end of the year is significantly lower than the average American citizen. Okay? The average American citizen that does not have anything beyond, like, a 401k. So there are many different ways. There are many different ways where you could try and take, I guess, like, fill the coffers with the highest earners, like, go after the highest earners, but that would require a tremendous amount of money from the IRS, like, because it's much harder. That would require some legislative changes, which will never happen. So turning around and basically wiping out all income tax across the board will be very helpful for a lot of the highest earners, right? In the short term. And it will make people in every tax bracket feel as though they are taking home more pay, right? Having said that, however, I don't know what kind of inflationary effect this will have. Okay? Son, can you please check your donation message and give me a response? Dude, just fucking write it in the chat. Just type it in the fucking chat. Ahmad literally said, just type your message in the chat. Yeah, like, he's going to see it in the chat that fast. Just stop being annoying. I already saw it, like, fucking 10 minutes ago when you started chirping about it. Hi, Hassan. Are you going to cover the UAP hearings on the 13th? Please speak to that briefly. No. Okay? No. I'm not going to be covering the fucking UAP briefing. I read everything in the chat. Okay? Anyway. Baja blast my brains out. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Funny name. Once again, if you want to show support for the community or myself, you can subscribe for $6 or for free. That's right. With a Twitch Prime, you can subscribe for free and you'll have access to the VODs, among many other things. Stop giving a shit. You can also get gifted a sub if you are lucky, and that way you can also see the subs. You didn't read this shit, bum ass motherfucker. Shut up. Ghost Dog It. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I bet you won't read this appreciation post for all you do adverting a white cishet guy from falling into the red pill pipeline. Yeah. Was he seriously asking about fucking aliens? Yes, he was. Anyway. Kisses your neck softly. Thank you for the 5. Eka Grande. Thank you for the 5. In a Rainbow 09, thank you for the 5. Gifted. So let's get back to Chris Murphy. Today's Senate. Oh no, this is the Venezuela one. This is a cataclysm. It was a wipeout. The left has never fully grappled with the wreckage of 50 years of neoliberalism, which has left legions of Americans adrift as local places are hollowed out. Rapacious profit seeking cannibalizes the common good, and unchecked new technology separates and isolates us. The things that mattered are disappearing. We spent half as much time with friends as a generation ago. Hard work no longer guarantees economic mobility. Institutions like churches are delegitimized. What? Institutions like churches? Place-based identity evaporates as we all become global citizens. The left skips past the way people are feeling. Alone, impotent, overwhelmed, and straight into uninspiring solutions. More roads, bulk drug purchasing that do little to actually upset the status quo, who has power and who doesn't. The left. What? The left skips past the way people are feeling. Isolation and alienation is a key component of leftist messaging. It's one that I talk about quite frequently, so I don't know what he means by the left here. I think he just means liberals. Does racism explain part of the attraction of the right's nativism? Of course, but mass deportation is a terrible response to Americans' real sense that they're helpless in the face of global forces like increased migration. The left largely ignores this pain. We don't listen enough. We tell people what's good for them. And when progressives like Bernie aggressively go after the elites that hold people down, they are shunned as dangerous populists. Why? Maybe because true economic populism is bad for our high income base. That's exactly what it is. That's the admission. Okay? That right there is the admission, folks. He's fucking saying it. Oh my God, he admitted. That's it. They have a wealthy base that they care about more than they care about winning elections. They have a wealthy base. They care more about Israel than they do about winning Michigan. Like, that much is clear, okay? Democrats will look you dead ass in the face and go, I would much rather fucking kill this country. I would much rather allow a fascist, monstrous piece of shit like Donald Trump to win than to even marginally move in the direction of humanity in the way that we analyze our relationship with Israel. Okay? What? Timestamp. Rokana says Dems had a Gaza policy issue based on his conversation with progressives. Yeah, we'll do that in a second.
You did create space.
Yeah, he's talking about me. The conversation that he had with me, where I straight up told him to his face at the DNC that Israel was doing a genocide. And he was like, oh, I wouldn't. Remember that? And he was like, oh, I wouldn't personally use that language. I think we have a disagreement there. I was like, no disagreement. I wonder if anyone has talked about this alienation thing from capitalism. Maybe like a German Jewish political economist. I wonder, yeah, if there was a guy with some formative work, like very important work in this field. Yeah, probably not. Don't worry about it.
terms of soul searching.
Oh, sorry. Before we get to the key figures, like let's finish off this Chris Murphy thing. Meanwhile, men tumble into different kinds of identity crises. The patriarchy, society's primary organizing paradigm for centuries, rightly crashes. The right pursues an alluring dial back. The left says, get over it. Again, a refusal to listen / offer responsible solutions. No. The response to this from the left cannot simply be, like, there's two different things here, okay? If you're just, if you're just shooting the shit on the timeline and you say men are trash, that's one thing. But if you're running a fucking campaign, you can't say that, okay? Obviously. But one thing that you can do, you must do, in an effort to ensure that men are not primed for radicalization, is to try to solve some of these underlying material problems, this economic instability that they feel, so that they are not finding themselves in the throes of right-wing radicalization. If one party is not addressing the issues that everyone is experiencing, including but not limited to men, and the other party is looking at the anger and saying, you should channel your anger towards those who are weaker than you, those who have no defense, those who are defenseless overall, those that society has cast aside as undesirables, yeah, people are going to find that alluring. Men especially so. We cannot be afraid of fights, especially with the economic elites who have profited off of neoliberalism. The right regularly picks fights with the elites, Hollywood, higher ed. Democrats, e.g. the Harris campaign, are tepid in our face with billionaires and corporations. Real economic populism should be our tent pole. But here's the thing. Then you need to let people into the tent who are 100% on board with those on social, cultural issue or issues like guns or climate. Those things are hard for the left. A firm break with neoliberalism. Listen to poor and rural people, men in crisis. Don't decide for them. Pick fights. Embrace populism. Build a big tent. Be less judgmental. But we are beyond small fixes. I don't necessarily disagree with like the broader point here. But here's Adam Johnson, who I do hold to high status here. I think his commentary is very sharp. And I do find myself agreeing with him quite frequently. I will say he has some skepticisms about Chris Murphy's take here. He says, yes, but we must be skeptical of what type of populism emerges from the ashes. If Chris GOP border Bill Murphy and the glowing New York Times Glusenkamp Perez profile are any guide, expected to be corporate-friendly, anti-migrant demagoguery, anti-trans, and shallow cultural head nodding. Yes. Be very aware of this type of pseudo-populism. It's what the consulting class and elite media jammed down our throats post-2010 and post-2016. It pays lip service to the poor while focusing on superficial cultural prostrations, migrant scapegoating, and LGBTQ abandonment. Ken, on the other hand, says he was very careful to say economic populism, to which Adam responds, lots of friends of the show. Lots of friends of the show is talking to one another. He had been the most foaming right-winger on cracking down on migrants, literally adopted the Republican plan and mocking Republicans from the right on the topic. I wouldn't trust him with any type of populism. Agreed. If the liberals look at this and go, well, the only populism that works is right-wing populism, okay? Because there's left-wing populism, the Bernie style of just being like, addressing people's harms, addressing people's issues, and offering universality as a solution, prescriptions to their problems in the form of, government-funded healthcare, for example. And then there's the right-wing populism, which is that, which looks at a person who is angry and says, oh, hold on, doors open. Then there's the right-wing populism that looks at people's anger and frustration and then channels it into those who are weaker, those who are defenseless, those who are underserved. Says, you're angry because the gays. You're angry because women have taken your rightful place in society. You're angry because trans people are the top priority for these elite liberals. You're angry because Democrats have flooded migrants into this country. And those migrants are simultaneously bringing in diseases. They are taking your jobs and also simultaneously taking your welfare because they're both lazy and hardworking. They're taking your homes, but they're also homeless. Okay? That's just pure white nativist, fascist nonsense. And yet, in the absence of any sort of counter messaging against that wave of fascist garbage propaganda, you're left with only one option that recognizes your anger. Anyway, let's see what
was on the issue of Gaza. You said when you were going to college campuses, when you were talking to progressives, when you were talking to voters of color, not just Arabs and Muslims, you heard there was a problem here. Do you think that the numbers you saw, particularly in Michigan, vindicated your point of view, or was there just a greater force at work?
I think she would have certainly won Michigan if there was more of a reckoning with the failures of policy on Gaza. That wasn't my point of view. That was the point of view of a lot of people I was hearing on the ground. I also think beyond Michigan, this really was a concern for a lot of young people and a lot of progressives. Now, my hope is because President Trump got some of the votes for the Muslim and Arab community. I was just on a bipartisan Conel in Saudi Arabia. They have said that if the president wants a deal with Saudi Arabia, that the Palestinian state and a two-state solution has to be front and center. And I hope we can work towards actually doing that after the war.
Why are people coming here to say El Communist and bought it and stuff? Are we getting like a little baby brigade? Is that what's going on? We got a little baby brigade? Oh, it's cute, man.
It's interesting in this Monday morning quarterbacking that's happening to hear from so many Democrats now who are saying that they think that economic message should have been front and center, but that they felt constrained somehow by this focus on identity politics. Tom Suozzi of New York.
People should accept that the fact that the heart of the country is racist, that is a silly, self-defeating thing to say. Okay? What's the solution then? Sorry, the country is simply racist, so we have to be racist? Okay. That's the mainstream Democrat position. That's a stupid position. It's not the correct position. Okay? Stop saying this shit. While there is truth to the matter that America is a very racist country, okay, you have to actively push back against that. He's not saying it. It has to be that way, just the way it is. No. When you say, I think we have to accept that America's a racist position, America's a racist country is stupid. Here, this was a really good message on this. The leftist position is that people's positions, even if horrific, have roots in their material reality. The liberal position, as best as I can tell, is that 20 to 30% of the country has an irredeemably evil soul. I guess I'm going with the one that you can actually do something about. Like if it's one or the other, even if I'm wrong, I'm going with a version that presents a path forward other than what? Wholesale murder or imprisonment of millions of our countrymen so they can't do politics anymore? Half of the country is evil. Okay, next question is obviously, well, what are you going to do about it? Calling them evil clearly didn't work. Like, there is always a push and pull here, okay? I like to have fun. And brother, you say America's racist all the time. It is. But that is not how you can run a fucking campaign, especially if you're like, and the solution is we got to be more racist. Okay? The solution is to try and see where people are hurting and then actively bring them into the coalition by making an earnest effort, by showing them that you're honest about wanting to improve their material conditions. Okay? That's it. Whether they want it or not does not matter. And there are plenty of people who do want it. Why the fuck would people go, nah, I don't want good things. I want bad things to continue. That's it.
Brought that up, talking about Republicans being able to weaponize anarchy on college campuses, defunding the police, and gender questions and girls' sports. Do you think this, movement, woke politics?
Yeah, Kamala Harris, ironically, did not do any of this. And it's something that I actually thought was good. It was one of the high notes. There was a couple high notes in the campaign. One, looking at tariffs and immediately counter messaging tariffs as like a widespread sales tax that's inherently inflationary. It's not only correct, but they did do counter messaging against that. That was smart. In the start, when they said they are going to go after price gougers by using pre-existing law. Okay, that was good. They should have kept that up. They did not make that the signature policy of the campaign. That would have been fantastic if they did do that, but they didn't. Oh, well. Okay. And last but not least, Kamala Harris's active refusal of using regular Democratic Party identity markers was a smart move. Are you implying detaining the 40% and forced re-education, right? No, I mean, I joke about re-education all the fucking time, but like, obviously, if we're going to be serious, it's not about re-educating people by putting them in fucking camps. It's just about educating people. Like, just educating people at all, okay? Improve the literacy in this goddamn country.
Really was incredibly damaging to the left, because a large part of that came from the progressive wing on which you are a member.
Well, I have always said that we need to be emphasizing the economic issues, but I don't think we should run away for standing up for trans rights, for standing up for equal rights for people, for teaching American history responsibly. You can be true to your values with two things, Margaret. One, if someone disagrees with you, we need to respect that disagreement, not cancel or shame them. Don't shy away from your convictions, but have a reasonable conversation. I did that with Megyn Kelly on a podcast on trans rights. I stuck to my position, but we had a reasonable conversation. The second thing is, if we emphasize the economic hardships people are facing. I've got $12 trillion in my district in Silicon Valley, while towns like Johnstown were hollowed out, Galesburg, Illinois were hollowed out. We can build new factories. We can build new industry. We can create new economic opportunity. We have a vision of how to do that. President Biden started it. I think we can win over people, even if they may not agree with us on a particular social issue.
He's doing the same face in both of those different moments from that interview. Anyway, we have a lot of election watch, but I think before we continue with that, let's get to some fun shit. Specifically, and yeah, I also talked to Drew of Washington Post for like an hour and a half. A lot of which was on background anyway, like that, was helpful for their coverage on this. But I ended up with 2 quotes in this article. But yeah, this is a good piece as well about inside the online offensive that turned out a new generation of men for Trump. Wow, the mainstream media are demons. You want us to listen to them? Yes. I do it every day. I could not do what I do without mainstream media, without real coverage, without real journalists. people seem to forget that the New York Times has 2,700 journalists that they employ. Okay? That is like, it's impossible for someone else like myself especially to do that. You should be a real journalist. Yeah, okay. That's right. I should just stop what I'm doing, which is commentary, and, do journalism instead. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stop the thing that I'm successful at, the thing that I've seen a tremendous amount of success in, which is, de-radicalizing people, actively communicating, trying to pull people off the ledge of radicalization.